Welcome, friends. This is the video for Saturday, August the 8th, and I am just delighted to be here with my friend Melvin Ferrebee. I wanted to tell you a little bit about Melvin so you know who you'll be hearing from. Melvin is a native of Norfolk, Virginia. He earned his Bachelor's of Aerospace Engineering from Georgia Tech. He has a Master's of Science in Applied Mathematics from William and Mary. And so he is, as he will say, a rocket scientist. When people say it's not rocket science, it is rocket science for Melvin. Melvin is currently the Director of Systems Analysis and Advanced Concepts at NASA Langley Research Center. He was the third African-American to achieve senior executive status in Langley's first 102 years. Before he was appointed to the systems analysis job, Melvin was the Director of Diversity and Equal Opportunity at Langley. Melvin and his wife live in Hampton, Virginia. They are the proud parents of 3 adult children, a lawyer, an emergency room doctor, and a PhD student in computational biology. And all 3 of those children went through St. Andrew's Episcopal School. Melvin and his wife are also the proud grandparents of 4 fabulous grandchildren. Melvin is a member of St. Vincent de Paul Catholic Church in Newport News. And I get to know Melvin because for 2 or 3 years, we worked pretty closely together. Melvin was the chair of the Board of Trustees for St. Andrew's Episcopal School. And we've been through lots of difficult meetings together, Melvin. Things that I appreciate about you are your grace under fire and your collaborative nature. And another thing for people at St. Andrews to know, they may remember that in 2017, we did an Episcopal school Sunday service at church, and Melvin and I together did a joint sermon that day. I found the text of it just today. So Melvin, I'm so glad and grateful that you've joined me for this conversation, and just going to start off by, and as I know you know, but just in case anybody's watching for the first time, this is a series of conversations talking about race and racism, and the audience that I have in mind is my own wonderful congregation, which is predominantly white folks like me. And so I was trying to find a way to help us hear perspectives that we might not otherwise hear. So with that introduction, Mr. Melvin, how are you?
I am well. Thank you for the opportunity to have this conversation with you. It just shows how forward-looking you are in trying to solve the we're trying to get a conversation going between races, and I think communication is absolutely everything. So how I feel, I'm kind of okay. Given at the beginning of this year, it was Ahmaud Arbery, then Breonna Taylor, and then George Floyd. And then everybody kind of lost their minds, and then it became Rayshard Brooks in Atlanta. And these incidents, although I thought, well, it isn't rocket science, it does wear on my psyche. I worry about my sons. I know every Black person, every Black parent has had the conversation with their kids. If the police stop you, your strategy is to survive the encounter. It is not to argue. It is not to do anything but survive. Mom and dad and lawyers will help you if you should get into trouble, but do whatever the policeman says. And for those in law enforcement, it really bothers me that there are some bad apples who believe that just because one has authority, they're superior, and that's absolutely the wrong take. You have authority. We respect the authority, but I'll never forget. I did work with Katherine Johnson when she was still working at Langley, and she told me, Melvin, you are no better than anyone else, and anyone else is no better than you. So if you just go through life, I am not better than anyone, and no one is better than me. I think we can all live a lot better. So I'll just leave it there, because there is a emotion coming up with this.
Melvin, of course there is. I mean, that
Yeah.
makes such sense. Yeah. So you've started talking about this already, but just kind of what is the current situation like for you, for your family? I mean, you talked about your sons, being worried about them, and also for your congregation. And I don't know the racial makeup of your congregation. So.
Yeah. Okay, I will start. Saint Vincent is about 50-50. And we are actually a very loving community. So well, as all parishes. However, we can have these conversations in real time during church, outside of church, before church. You know, where someone would come, hey, Melvin, I was going to make a joke about, what was it? Voter suppression. And we kind of go like, no, don't do that. No, for God's sake, don't do that. That just sounds tone deaf.
Right.
But then there is, but with my, when it comes to law enforcement, and I will share this story because this one is what is building up.
Mm-hmm.
I run early in the morning. I get up at 3:30. I step out the door at 4, and my goal is to get back in the house by 5 o'clock, and that is warm up, run 5K, and cool down, and get back in the house by 5 o'clock. Now, yes, it's 3 miles in almost an hour, but it is, I run about as fast as a turtle moving through peanut butter. And so I finished my first mile at 4:17, and in my neighborhood there is this big circle, and so you go in one side, and a mile later you come out the other side. So at 4:17, I'm passing a mile. I know this because I've run this every day for 3 years. And then there's a guy that is walking the sidewalk on the opposite side of the street. Then as I'm running, there's a second guy that comes out from behind a car, and he walks across my path, and I'm kind of going, oh my gosh. I've got a high-end pair of earphones on. I've got a cell phone. They can beat me up. What am I going to do? I'm not going to outrun them. That's for sure. So I ran. I just kept running. They didn't bother me. I didn't bother them. I know they were breaking into cars. I just know they were breaking into cars. So as I'm running, I get out of their sight, and I'm thinking I could stop and call the police. So, and this is Memorial Day. George Floyd was killed the day after Memorial Day. This was the Wednesday after Memorial Day. I just saw that, and I'm kind of going, okay, if I call and the police come into the neighborhood, depending upon which end of the circle they come in, they're either going to see the black guy running, me, or the two white guys who may have run off. I don't know. But then also, if they catch the two guys, are they going to retaliate the next time I run at 4 o'clock in the morning because they know that it was that guy who they passed? So I chose not to do anything. I just kept running by myself. So I come back into my office, and about 9 o'clock in the morning, I'm on the neighborhood chat room, and it's blowing up. My car was ransacked. My car was broken into, and I made the mistake of saying I was out at 4:17 in the morning. It was two guys. I know their heights, but I didn't do anything. I told him that, and you would have thought that I had just confessed to a murder. Well, you should have called. You should have called. You should have called. However, I'm black. I'm sorry. I could have been the guy that they would have beat up. The police would have beat up. So it is more self-preservation as much as it is not being a neighbor. So
Wow.
That has bothered me for quite a while.
Absolutely.
And yeah. So and I'm thinking about that. Okay, I've got a 33-year-old son, a 31-year-old son. They have had run-ins with the police, and I just don't, for nothing. The oldest one is a law student. They just stopped him because he was in an old car. 5 Austin, Texas police cars come and surround him. And he says, I'm a law student. I'm going home after studying late. And so the cops start quizzing him on jurors procedure. Good thing he was a second-year law student. He kind of knew this stuff. But it's just kind of crazy. But I don't know. It really. And then Michael, the doctor, he's he's on the front line of the coronavirus. So you worry about him all the time that he could catch the virus, but then he's a black kid in downtown Washington, D.C. So when he is stopped, no one looks at the letters behind his name. No one asks him, what's your education? All I see is you are a person of color, and you may or may not be inferior to me.
Right.
So I just so that those are the things that I think about that affect my productivity as a leader. I talk this out with my leadership team, just sort of show you, hey, if I am testy, it's not because of you, it is because of what's going on. And we try to talk about it. We try to help our folks, our employees deal with it. But what are the conversations that the white parents having with their kids?
Right.
Considering black parents are just trying to teach survival skills, and that's go on.
I was going to say, I was on a webinar yesterday where the speakers were there were 2 black women priests and an Indian woman, and then a white man, and it was being facilitated by a white woman. And one of the black women said that she serves a church which is predominantly white, and she's in Georgia, and that when George Floyd was murdered, she could not function. She just said to her church, I need some time. I can't take care of you right now because I am so devastated by this happening. And so I'm just thinking about when you said, if you say to your coworkers, I'm testy, doesn't have anything to do with you. But I mean, for us to hear that, to hear what that's like, that that could be you, or the reason that you understandably didn't make a phone call was so that you wouldn't be the target in a way that somebody with white skin doesn't have to worry about, in that same way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you, Melvin. So the next question was, so how have you personally experienced racism? And again, you've already talked some about that, but experiences that you
Oh, so I actually listened to all of the videos before this, and I think it was one of your Episcopal priests. I think it was the one in Petersburg. No. This was the Baptist minister. That was the Hampton detective, and he said, "Well, I got 3 hours."
Yes,
So,
Charles Cheek
yeah,
said that.
I got a whole list. So I got 3. I have 3. They're really quick. The first encounter with racism was when I was about 6 years old. So this was in the early 60s. Norfolk, there was a department store, and I had to go to the restroom. So my mom let me go. She didn't take me into her restroom. She let me go. So I go, and there are 2 doors. One is men, and the other one is colored men. So I'm kind of looking, all right, I'm colored. So I go into the colored men's room, and it was like a janitor's closet. I didn't see a sink. I frankly didn't see a toilet. But then I went into the men's room, and it was like, okay, this is what I'm used to at home. Right. So I start using the room, and then of course, someone comes in, and they politely escort me out. And my mother is coming to find out, why is it taking me so long to come back, and she kind of goes non-linear on the guy. Just take your hands off of my son, yada, 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 yada. He didn't know any better. And so that was the first.
Wow.
But as I went through high school, it was my senior year. I was a football player. And at the time, I had made up my mind, I'm going to Georgia Tech. I've told everybody I'm going to Georgia Tech. My parents had decided, okay, we're going to send you to Georgia Tech. Mm-hmm. My guidance counselor sends a student down to pull me out of class in order to go talk to to West Point. And I said, no, I'm going to Georgia Tech. So they go back, and he sends the student again. He really wants you to come. I'm going, I really don't want to go. And so finally, my football coach comes and pulls me out and says, look, when I tell you to come, you should jump. And it's, I don't want to go to Georgia. I don't want to go to West Point. Now, this has nothing to do with military or anything. I don't want to go to West Point. I want to be a hell of an engineer at the Rambling Wreck from Georgia Tech. So, so he says, well, where do you think you are going? I said, I'm going to Georgia Tech. He says, you're not going to go to Georgia Tech. You're from downtown Norfolk. The kids at downtown Norfolk are good for nothing. If you don't go where I tell you to go, you aren't going anywhere at all. You're going to go to a community college somewhere in North Carolina and be absolutely nothing. Now, okay, I promised Jesus that I was going to one day come back and smack him across the face with my success. And so I got a chance to do that.
Good. That smile.
Yeah. But what was even worse was that I said, hey, I was one of your football players back in 1976, and I work for NASA now, and I'm this, I'm that, and I've done these things. And he goes, oh, you're one of my success stories. I'm kind of going like, where's a gun?
Wow.
Because So that was number two. Then number three, I was a budding engineer. This is like my first year as a full-time person at NASA, and I walk into a conference room, and I'm about to give the presentation. So I have view charts. You know, these are the great big slides you put on an overhead projector, and also I put them down, and then this guy who was in the audience, he gives me the trash can. So my boss, he sees this happens, and he knows what I was about to do with the trash can, and he said, "Mel, the janitor is outside. Go ahead and dump the trash. Come back in and start your presentation." So I went out. I put it down and started the presentation. And afterwards, you know, this particular gentleman went, "I'm sorry." Well, he should have never done that to begin with.
Right.
So so this is a good segue to my last story, and this is when we did the joint sermon on the Episcopal School Day. That was the same day that you introduced Lorna as your your associate priest, rector, priest,
Yeah,
minister.
associate rector, yeah.
As associate rector. So everybody's saying, "Hi, Lorna, congratulations, welcome, yada, yada, yada." So we were outside, and we were shaking hands. You know, I you know, there were a lot of parents from the school and teachers. And then I had a bunch of NASA friends that were there, but there were quite a few parishioners that came up to me and shook my hand and congratulated, you know, "Lorna's a wonderful person. You are, you know, you're lucky to have her." And they thought that I was married to Lorna. And I'm kind of going like, so did you not hear the sermon? Did you not hear the introductions? We are not together. But you know, so it you know, people talk about microaggressions, and you know, it's just little things that dig at you. It's well-meaning, but you know, it's just like, you really don't care that you heard what you know, you really didn't care to listen to the words that came out of our mouths. You just put us together as a couple, and I can only think it's because it's the color of our skin. So I just would like, I would have a conversation with people of color. Just have a conversation. And as Lorna said, believe them believe the folks when they tell you stories, you know. So that's all I really want to say. I can say a whole lot more. I can say a whole lot.
You and Charles Cheek, and I'm sure the others too, could fill you know, hours.
Yeah, one more. I promise. My daughter. So this was while she was at St. Andrews, and there was a parent who came up to me, and they said, "My son was so impressed with how smart your daughter is." So I said, "Thank you." Cut the conversation. What I heard was, your son is in your son's level of expectation of my daughter was so low that she exceeded it. That's what I heard. Well-meaning, it was, I'm sure it was well-meaning. It was probably part of a conversation starter, but you sent me right off the reservation. I'm ready, you know, I am thinking, well, I know that your child is too dumb to make any other assessment. You know, I just couldn't believe that these words came out of her mouth. But it was well-meaning. So the best way to say it, just thank you, and leave it alone. And and Michelle is digging her fingernails in my arm so that it doesn't go any further than that. So, okay, I am done.
That also, that's, you know what, that's helpful, because I'm thinking that, so however that sounded to the white person saying it, the two people of color hearing it, I mean, Michelle didn't say anything, but she was digging in your arm because of the way it was impacting her and you. She, you know, she didn't want you to say anything, but wow. Thank you, Melvin. I'm sorry about the, you know, the times that St. Andrews, contributed.
One more thing. Okay, don't apologize. Just don't apologize. Amistad, the movie, the slave ship, about the slave ship, and okay, it was a pretty dark and gloomy, depressing movie. So I had so many people come to me and just say, Melvin, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry this happened to your people. And that's, oh, okay, again, you go kind of like, thank you. But what I am hearing, well, how I interpreted that is, at first, you're not the spokesperson for the white race. I am not the person representing the black race. You know, okay, it was tough. It was depressing. I can understand that, but you don't have to apologize to me for that. It's okay. You know, we have we understand. We understand what's happening, and we understand that you want to be an ally. However, it's okay for you to make mistakes.
That's good.
It's okay to have that. Yeah, it's okay to make a mistake. We will help you. We will help you. You know, nope, that's not what you really want to say. Nope, that's not the strategy you want to take. However, you know, if you try this particular way, you'll get further in the conversation. And we know you're trying. We know you're trying. So there never should be like, gee, I'm sorry that this happened to your people, because that's okay. Well, what are you going to do about it?
Thank you. That's tremendously helpful. And so, in fact, you've already kind of started. The next question is, what can white Christians do to be allies for you? Anything in particular you'd like to say to us? Well, so one of them is, you're going to make mistakes, and that's okay. I mean, that's what I hear you saying.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Have a conversation. Have a conversation with a person of color. We know you're going to make a mistake. Heck, we're going to make mistakes. The folks of color. You know, one was I went to a Southern Baptist church back in the 70s, and I thought that I was I don't know. I thought that I was people must have thought I was a terrorist. Now, I was invited. It was my buddy and I. We went, and we sat with a couple of our classmates, and we were not welcome at all. And then so that was 1975-ish, and then in 1995, the Southern Baptist Convention issued a resolution on racial reconciliation. And the Southern Baptist Convention, we were kind of built on the backs of slavery, and we have mistreated African Americans for a long time, and we're not going to do that anymore. But because of that instance at that church 20 years prior, you'll never get me to go into a Southern Baptist church again. You know, the apology, the resolution is not accepted because of the way I was treated. So I don't have to put myself in that position anymore. So, but have a conversation with a person of color. Believe them when they tell you stories. It did happen. We have no reason to fabricate this stuff. Yes, the good thing now is that everybody has a camera. Everybody has a movie camera. So it isn't a matter of just taking a picture. All that picture's out of context. 8 minutes and 46 seconds of a policeman with a knee in somebody's neck is pretty clear.
Yeah.
So, but I would also say, don't say you're not racist. You really got to be anti-racist. You got to stop it where it starts. Somebody says something, if it ain't right as a Christian, then say something about it. And there are times when I might not be able to make that statement. I need you to make that a statement. As one of your interviewees, we have been marching forever, but now young white folks are now engaged in marching. Let the children lead. So.
Yep. Great. That's really helpful. Thank you. So then what, if anything, gives you hope these days?
That's a tough question. We are. It's family. It's family. It's education. It is conversation. People are actually willing to have a conversation now with a person of color. People are actually starting to believe the stories that are going on. It is as a Catholic, we see the face of God in everyone we meet. So there's a lot of times where it's pretty hard to do that.
Yes.
It's pretty hard to do that, but you have to allow good intent. So the hope is that there are enough good people out there willing now to stand up and take the mantle and take a shield and go and fight this systemic racism that is that's still here in the country. Everything all problems weren't solved when Barack Obama took the oath of office. So we got to continue to get into the good trouble, just like John Lewis said. Just continue to get into the good trouble.
That's a great end note. That's great marching orders for us from John Lewis and from you. So we're going to end with a time of prayer, and I'll start, and then you'll pray, and then if you could just lead us into the Lord's Prayer, that would be
okay.
Great. Okay. Holy God, I thank you so much for my brother Melvin, for his candor, his vulnerability, his graciousness in taking and making the time to have this conversation. I pray that I and the others who are able to hear his words will learn from him and take to heart his advice, remember his stories, and especially that we may strive with Melvin to see your face, Jesus, in all of those around us. And in those times when hope may seem hard to come by, gracious God, we pray to you for hope and for help.
Dear Lord and Savior, bless this day, bless the work that this church is doing in fostering greater understanding between the races. We truly need your hand to come and touch each one of us and provide us with the understanding and the love that is needed, such that we can stop this evil that is lurking throughout the world, seeking the ruin of souls. So, and as you do this, we would like to pray in the words in which you taught us. Our Father, who art in heaven, give
hallowed
us this
be
day.
thy name. Thy
Give
kingdom
us
come.
Thy
Thy
will be
will be
done
on
on earth
earth
as it is in heaven. Give us this day
our
our
daily
daily
bread,
bread, and
and
forgive us our
our
trespasses,
as we forgive
forgive
those
those who
trespass
trespass
against
against
us.
us. And lead
And
us not
lead us
into
not into
temptation,
temptation, but
but
deliver
deliver
us
us from
from
evil.
evil. For
For thine
thine
is the
is the
kingdom,
kingdom, and the
the
power,
power, and the
and
glory,
the glory,
forever
forever.
and ever.
Amen.
Amen.
Melvin, I am so grateful to you. I'm going to take a second and turn us off from recording here. Yes, I